So, Minds Over Mountains. What is this all about anyway? Well, the short answer is it's our personal fundraiser for an organization called the University of Wisconsin Initiative to End Alzheimer's. The initiative is at the point of the arrow when it comes to early detection, early interventions, education, and support advocacy for caregivers and families affected with Alzheimer's disease. Now, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Bill Stork. My wife Sheila is on the other side of the camera. We live in what I call our family compound just north of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. And while it's really difficult to find a family that has not been affected in one way, shape, or form by Alzheimer's and dementia, ours is no different. We lost my mother, who was easily one of the most kind, compassionate people you will ever meet. Her last words were, "Thank you, and I love you." But she wasn't much there for about the last 5 years, aside from an occasion, including several years into the dementia, when she stepped out from behind the fog and saved my dad's life. My good friend Gary Edmonds lost his mother, and now his sister has been affected. Jay and Joy Lou lost Leona. Friends, one right after another. Carl Glassford had a mind like an engineer. He could figure out anything. Paul was a sailor and a builder. Charlie Brown, not the Charlie Brown from the Peanuts, but the retired linesman who delivered caskets for a living when he retired. Always had a little chihuahua named Jace and a joke for us. All of those minds, all of those characters, gone. And in a few short weeks, I'll be 60 years old. And as such, every time I reach for a thought or a name that I can't come up with or fumble a line in a story like this, I think, oh, goodness gracious, here it comes to get me as well. And by my way of thinking, there's a couple of different approaches. One, sit here and wait for it to come and get me. Or two, we can try and do something about it. And for a long time, I knew I wanted to do something, but we didn't know what that was. Then, a couple of years ago, our friend Becky Jeffers was in the clinic with her little min pin named Bean. And this kind of conversation came up, and she said, "You know, Bill, I work for the University of Wisconsin in the lab. You should check us out." And I did. And when I did, I called Becky again and I said, "Becky, take me to your leader." And she introduced me to Steve Ramig, and I explained to Steve that we wanted to help because I figured it was probably too late for my mind, but I didn't want our kids to have to worry about it. He said, "Bill, it may not be too late for you. That's how close we are." From which moment I was inspired. Saddle up, let's get going, man. Well, still, didn't exactly know how to help, but I like to ride bicycles. There was a time I liked to race bicycles, but I got old and slow and scared. I'm not necessarily competitive, but I do like a challenge every now and then. And for the last 25 years or so, we go out west and ride bicycles with my good friend John Humphreys from Lizard Head Cycling Guides. And a typical day with John starts off in the morning at breakfast, and you're down in the valley in the sunshine and it's warm. And the goal is to eat lunch at the top of a mountain. And in between, the challenge is to use everything you have in your mind and your legs and your lungs and your heart and your soul, and to budget every ATP to get from the bottom of that mountain to the top of that mountain. And when you do, it is a feeling like no other. Not only looking down at where you have come, but that feeling of accomplishment lasts you forever. And as it turns out, according to the initiative and everyone who's ever done research on Alzheimer's, 3 of the most important lifestyles to fend off the onset of cognitive decline is vigorous physical activity, vigorous mental activity, and resilience. So, on June the 28th, a group of us, you're invited to be with us, a group of us are going to saddle up at 6,000 feet of elevation in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And we're going to saddle up and we are going to climb. 36 miles to the top of Pikes Peak. And as we pedal, we're going to pay tribute to families who have been affected, caregivers, and donors. And we're not going to stop until we see a sign that says 14,110 feet. Minds over mountains. Now, if your neighbor, if your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, or your grandpa have been affected, or you want to be a part of this, there's several ways. First of all, the initiative is fueled largely by donations. If you think you want to give, you can Google Minds Over Mountains UW. It will take you straight to our donation page. You can follow the link that I'll include in the body of this YouTube post. The other thing you can do is follow a QR code that I will post as well. If, on the other hand, you've got a family, you've got a story about a family that has fought and found beauty in the face of Alzheimer's and dementia, share that with us. I would be happy to post it. Over the next several months, I'll be taking videos of my training, preparation, and stories about how my family, my friends have been affected by this god-awful disease. And if you're thinking, man, Dr. Bill, this is pretty cool. I think I'd like to make that climb. I think I'd like to do that ride with you guys. Well, message me by way of Facebook or call John Humphreys, Lizard Head Cycling Guides. So that's it for now, and if all else fails, keep something moving forward. Minds Over Mountains.